I am so happy I'm not having to be reminded of this like I normally am. Now, because I said that, somebody better remind me next week because I'll probably forget. But can you see the screen, Dr. Ravis?
Yes, we can see the
Thanks.
screen.
Okay, let's go ahead and get started then.
Okay, welcome group to week 4. And boy, we're clicking through this summer semester. It's going very quickly. I want to commend you for keeping up and getting through your assignments on time and keeping up with your CAP tasks. Some of you are working ahead in both. And that's fine with me. I'm not getting too far ahead on the assignments. I will just tell you that because I like to be able to talk to you about what's expected in each assignment before you do it. We go at such a fast pace on these assignments that if you miss something, there's not time for you to go back and revise it. So don't reach out there and get too far ahead on your assignments. Now, the CAP and the PSYOP, you just run away with those.
Right.
And I appreciate everybody getting your CAP in on time for me yesterday evening. And some of you are waiting to uh, well, I've got 2 people ready to submit the CAP to turn it in. And I've got one, I think, who is waiting to go into to turn it in. But 2 are ready to go to task stream. And we've had, of course, 6 that have finished both. So, um, anyway, I'm looking forward to tonight. And we have on board tonight the PSEL Standards 3 and 4. And we're going to just briefly mention some of the information. And we've also got our clinical coaches with us tonight. So,
No, they won't be with us until next week.
okay, till next week. Okay,
Yeah, they'll
sorry.
be with us next week. So I was going to tell them to make sure that, you tune in because they'll be at a pivotal point to remind you of some things for them next week. So Dr. Maraglia and Dr. Bullis will join us next
Okay.
week. And what we'll do is we'll bring greetings and then we'll turn it over to them so that they can go ahead and get their stuff done and they can leave if they choose to leave, which they probably will. And then we can move on with our business at that time. But Dr. Revis, just like you, every student, all 18 students had their assignments in on schedule this time. I did not have one student that was late on anything. So, you know, job well done on that. I will say we're moving, Dr. Revis, you've got 2 CAPs that are waiting for the evaluator. They're in task stream already. So they're already there. They're just waiting for the evaluator to grade them. But I've had several to clear, a few to clear with the CAP already, a few to clear with the PSYOP already. So, they are moving ahead with those. I would ask you to make sure that you just remember to follow the process, that it doesn't come to Dr. Revis, nor does it come to me until after you have gotten clearance from Dr. Bullis or Dr. Maraglia, and they let us know that you're clear because we're just going to send it back to you if we hadn't heard from them because we want to make sure that the process is as seamless as possible, when it comes to us, and that gives us a chance to go back and just put our eyes on it one last time. And we may ask you to make some most of the time minor edits, um, but and then sometimes we're good with it, as it is, and we'll tell you to send it on. But I'm going to show you. Well, let me minimize this for just a second. Let me bring this document up. Now you have this in Blackboard. This is just a friendly reminder of your task stream assignment. These are the drop dead dates for things. So this is where we are. Everybody should be cleared with this, and if you're not, we've got a plan to get you there this week so that you're clear, maybe cleared with Dr. Maraglia or not quite clear with her, but we're going to clear out all of these this week if you're any of those people. And then task 4 is what you will concentrate on this week. Now, honestly, at this point, working to try to get ahead, I would try to go ahead and get task 4 knocked out, because as soon as you do, it's just going to be a blink of the eye, and we can tell you to put it together. You put it together, and you know, most of the time it's correct, but if it's not, then it's just going to be a minor detail or two that you have to go back and fix before we can say it's ready for the Turnitin process. But this should be, once you get through with this is a pretty quick turnaround right here. But these are the dates, and I want you to look at this. Now, this coming Sunday will be the 15th. Then notice the next week is when CAAP 4 is due on that Tuesday. But then notice by that Friday, you've got to have the final CAAP 1 through 4 for us to say that it's ready for the turn-in process. And then notice by that Sunday, you should be completely cleared with the CAAP. So not this Sunday, but next Sunday at the latest is the drop dead date to be completely cleared with the CAAP. Are there any questions about that? Are there any questions about task 4? Everybody, are you good with task 4? Are you good with the PSYOP? Does anybody at this point have any questions with the PSYOP? Dr. Revis, we may, I think we will next week, we'll open up the PSYOP, the helpful hints document for just a few minutes, just to make up some brief comments and some pointers with the PSYOP next week for those that, because we've got very few of the PSYOP in, so that'll be a good point of reference time to just say, don't forget to do this, don't forget to do that, or whatever, if you're one of the ones that's still working on the PSYOP. But just pay attention to these drop dead dates, and then Dr. Bullis and Dr. Maraglia will talk to you about these things that will be due by July 21st. Some of you have already started working on these things, and that's okay. If you're at a place, if you've cleared the PSYOP, then by all means you can go ahead and start moving through these things. So that's no problem with that. I do want to bring to your Dr. Revis, talk about before we do that, let me, while I've got the screen, let me go ahead and pull this up. Dr. Revis, we're just going to make comments about the Johari window, but before we do, let's look at your assignment for this week that's due by Sunday. This is from Glickman, Chapter 9, one of your textbook. Use an APA in a minimum of a 2-page double-spaced response. Identify your strengths and areas for improvement on the supervisory behaviors continuum. Now, a few of you have already done that. Some of you, I mean, you went into detail. Remember, these assignments are a reflection of you. I don't need to hear a lot of philosophy. Dr. Revis doesn't need Phil. We want you to talk about you. Where are you on that supervisory behavior continuum? Talk specifically about you, and make sure that as you look at it, you're being honest with you're looking in the mirror and you're saying, this is where I am on this continuum. And, again, you're looking at your areas of strength, and you're looking for your areas that you know that you're going to need to work with and work on. So be honest, transparent. This is for you. So we're looking for that kind of language. I promise you, there's not one of you, Dr. Revis said I couldn't take it and not have areas that we need to work on. So you need to be truthful about that. Again, you need to know yourself, know who you are. So take the time and give this assignment the due diligence that you should give it. And with that in mind, Dr. Revis, I'm going to stop my share. And if you would just lead into just a brief discussion about the Johari window.
Okay. All right. So for the Johari window, Of course, the prompt asks you to talk about it a little bit, describe it, explain it. And most of you did that very nicely. It also asks you to um, talk about an example of professional uh, dissonance. Is that what it was? I believe
Cognitive dissonance.
cognitive dissonance. Some of you forgot to address that piece of the prompt, and if you did, of course, you did not get the full 50 points. And then, of course, you had to take the assessment and you had to send it to, 4 or 5 of your colleagues to do the assessment on you. And then what I was expecting is a compare and contrast between what you saw and what others saw in you. And so if any piece of that was missing, then I didn't give you full credit. I don't think Dr. Stedman did either. So be careful on your weekly assignments that you're reading the assignment very thoroughly so that you can pick up all the points. You all are very strong writers at this point, but don't forget, we do expect you to write in APA style. Regardless if we shouldn't have to tell you that, even if it's just an assignment, we expect it to be in APA format. Um, but other than that, I thought you guys did a really good job. Many of you commented on, how this made you think or that you were glad that the traits that were known to you or that you identified were also known to your colleagues. I think that is satisfying to know that we are seeing ourselves the way others see us, but most everybody did comment or have some areas that others saw in us that we didn't mention, and that's always interesting. Some were areas for growth, and others were just areas of strength that we didn't mention. So I was very pleased with that, but again, be very careful that you're answering the entire prompt.
Dr. Revis, that leads into what I want to say about this assignment. Now, our week 10, Dr. Lamb's going to join us, and he has been professionally trained in interview techniques, professionally trained, and he'll bring all that out at that time. But in interviews, when you get to the point of the level of applying for an assistant principal's job or applying for a principal's job or uh, a supervisory job at the central office level. Um, in most situations now, they're going to set up. It's not going to be just I sit across the table, you sit across the table, and I'm going to ask you a few questions. Many times you're put through scenarios. And it could be some of the case studies that we've been doing. You could be given case studies, and they want to see, first of all, they will be looking at your writing skills. They'll be looking at, again, what do you know about law? What do you know about this already? You should have some, after you get through with a program, you should have some basic knowledge of a lot of this. So those are going to be looked at. And honestly, and Dr. Lamb will talk about this, traps are set. They're set on purpose um, to see where you are. Now, one of the things that I would look at if I was interviewing any of you for a job is that just like with that assignment, if you didn't complete that assignment, then I would have questions about you working and leading one of my schools. Are you only going to give me partial work? How detailed are you in directing? Because many times as an administrator, you don't get a second chance to go back and do stuff. It's got to be right the first time. Am I right, Dr. Revis? You don't get second chances on stuff like we might give you. You've got to be so, you know, I had some that, and I'm not picking on anybody, but just like with the Johari window, when you talked about the results, again, it was about you. Now, I shouldn't have had to told you or reminded you, I need to see those results. You should already at this level know to do that. So I'm asking you to be sometimes more can be better. So, and in these situations when we're needing to learn about you, then that can be better. So you have to balance it. You don't want to do too much, but you've got to balance it. But make sure that and if nothing else, look at it, print it off and check it off. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this, so that you don't miss it. Okay, this is for you. Make it a good practice in your leadership to be detailed and make sure that you have not. It goes back to those saying, dot every I and cross every T. Okay. So with that in mind, Dr. Revis, I think any questions about your assignments? Go back and look at. Again, look at what's required of you for week 8 with the with the strengths-based leadership assignment. Now, don't you disappoint us with this assignment. That's why we have emphasized it every week. That's why we have said, pace yourself. We should see some quality work come out of this assignment. Okay? We keep emphasizing it for a reason. So give it again the full diligence that it is due. And we really want this to be a true learning curve for you when you complete that assignment. There's several pieces of it. So make sure that you are attuned to every piece and requirement for that assignment. Any questions about that at this point? Okay. Well, Dr. Revis, I think our standard 3 is going to be Juan, Colleen Dolby, and Lauren from my class. So we're going to turn it over to that team at this time.
Hi, everybody. My name is Lauren Clark, and we're working on Standard 3, Equity and Cultural Responsiveness, with Colleen Dolby and Juan Benavides. And so we're just going to look at the different equity and cultural response in our schools. So for our agenda, we're going to look at the competencies and elements of equity and cultural responsiveness and what does it measure. We're going to look what it looks like for W.A. Perry Middle School, Shady Brook Elementary School, and Third Creek Elementary School. We're going to talk about the strengths for each school in cultural responsiveness, areas of opportunity for equity and cultural responsiveness at each school. We'll talk about the ratings we gave for each school and why. And then if we had any final thoughts, questions, or comments, we'd love to hear.
Sorry, I was having trouble finding unmute and tackling presenting as well. So for equity and cultural responsiveness, one of the elements is that for effective educational leaders, they strive for equity of educational opportunity and culturally responsiveness practices that can consist of cultural awareness, high expectations for students, building relationships, incorporating students' cultural references, and having critical consciousness. Another element is to ensure that each student is treated fairly, respectfully, and with an understanding of their culture and context. And also ensuring that each student has equitable access to effective teachers, learning opportunities, academic and social support. And finally, developing students' policies that address misconduct in a positive, fair, and unbiased manner.
Good evening, everyone. So what does this standard measure and why is it important? So this standard measures the school's ability to create fair and inclusive learning environments for all students, regardless of their background or identity. It is also important because it ensures all students, regardless of their background, have access to quality education and the opportunity to succeed. Some examples of these culturally responsive practices are incorporating diverse perspectives and voices in the curriculum, using teaching strategies that align with students' cultural learning styles, create a classroom environment that is inclusive and welcoming to all students, and partner with families and communities to build strong relationships. Right now, we are going to introduce each one of our schools, and after that, we are going to see what are the strengths that each one of them have. So, in the school that I'm working on right now, W. Perry Middle School is located in Columbia, South Carolina. It belongs to the Richland 1 school district system. It opened its doors in the fall of 1956. The school population is composed by 326 students, and the school serves 6 to 8 grades. This is a Title I school with an index poverty of 97.1%. Even if this is a very small school, it has really good programs, and I'm going to mention some of them to you right now. So we have ABIT, which is an acronym for Advancement via Individual Determination, which is a program designed to improve college and career readiness for middle and high school. ABIT's mission is to close the opportunity gap, the opportunity gap by preparing all students for college and career readiness and success in a global society. ABIT also fosters a safe and open culture with expectations for teachers and students in collaboration in the classrooms. We also have a BLAST, which is an aerospace, science, technology, engineering, and math focused program that encourages students to aspire to careers in aerospace and STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. We also include the PBIS, the Positive Behavioral Intervention and Support System, which is used at Perry to reward students who do not receive office referrals each month and each quarter. This system is used to reduce disciplinary incidents, increase the school sense of safety and support, improve academic outcomes as well. There are incentives such as food, school materials, and public recognitions that are used to reward students. Additionally, W. Perry has restorative circles to address behavior. So these restorative circles process to provide conflict resolution in an effort to assist the students with talking through things before they violate behavior expectations.
I work at Shady Brook Elementary School. It serves grades kindergarten through 5th grade. It is a school located in Kannapolis, and it's in Cabarrus County, and it's about 25 minutes from Charlotte. And we are one of the 15 city schools still in North Carolina. The doors opened in the fall of 1949. The student body consists of 33.6% are African American students, 32 Hispanic, 25.4% Caucasian, 8% multicultural. And the school population is always hovers about 322 to 330. And we are a Title I school with an index poverty of 73.8%. Some of the programs that we have at Shady Brook is core behavior. The core behavior team, it still follows some of the PBS. We still do the matrices and different things like that, but we've developed a team that holds regular meetings, and they've done several events, family and community involvement, restorative practices. Several members of our staff have been trained in this program. It is to build positive school culture through community circles and building relationships through restorative team building activities. A lot of our school members are still in need of that training. We started our specialists this year in PLCs. We're looking heavily at data and absenteeism, and they wanted to launch a Friday clubs, which was to offer high interest activities for students and to promote students coming on Fridays, because that was a huge area of opportunity at our school. A lot of students were missing Fridays. So students were strategically grouped and to foster and do engaging activities and to work on developing their social skills as well. And finally, another initiative that we have at our school, Junior Gents. It's a mentorship program that's geared towards helping young boys to work on conflict resolution, goal setting, respect, and manners. Another program that we have at Shady Brook is Project Scientists, and it meets weekly to nurture the lifelong love of STEM for girls. Its goal was to close the gender gap in the STEM field. So girls grades 4 and 5 attend once a week to do hands-on real-world STEM activities. Our core academic team was just recently established this year, and we spent time creating a PLC that focused on data that looked at attendance, behavior, and academics to support equity for all students. And finally, we've worked, but still have a long way to go on family and community engagement at our school. We created new partnerships this year with local churches and Amazon. And currently this summer, Amazon is helping to revitalize our outdoor learning community. We've also worked with and encouraged new members that have joined the PTO have represented diverse voices and to help support all needs and for students at Shady Brook.
So I work at Third Creek Elementary School that's located in Statesville, North Carolina, for the Iredell Statesville School District. It opened up in 2002 as a consolidation of 2 other facilities that they had closed. The school serves approximately 550 students from pre-K through 5th. The student body is rich in culture, also serving 35% African American, 32% Hispanic, 23% Caucasian, and 8% multicultural. We are a Title I school also with a poverty index of 89%. And in addition, we're a targeted support improvement, we're a TSI designated school because students with disabilities were consistently underperforming based on state accountability systems with an F grade in 3 consecutive years. So this was our first year being on as a TSI school. So things that we work on in our school is embracing student diversity. We have gotten an influx in Hispanic culture, so English learners receiving targeted support through bilingual resources. Our school culture encourages students to celebrate their backgrounds and share with others. And then we also have classroom instruction, includes multicultural text and materials, and we have really used some Title I money to increase getting more multicultural activities and materials for the classrooms. We do culturally responsive instruction. So we have professional development that supports equity-based teaching strategies, an inclusive classroom, libraries, and content that reflects a range of cultures. And then we are being pushed for lessons to be designed to connect the academic content to like real life, cultural, relevant context so that it's all coming together and not, it'd be more inclusive. We follow the Leader in Me and we do a second step program. So the PBIS and Leader in Me work together to support all our students. We use data to monitor for disproportionality in discipline and restorative practices and trauma-informed approaches that help promote fairness. And then family and community engagement. Communication is translated to reach our non-English speaking families. Multicultural events celebrate the community's diverse heritage, and we have a strong partnership with local groups that promote equity-focused initiatives. So we partnered with a church that has helped a lot with that, and then we are working on starting up a PTO again, and we were looking at possibly doing a Hispanic PTO in an English version and kind of like merging them together to see if we can reach all the different populations.
So now we want to talk about what are the strengths that our schools have in regards of equity and cultural responsiveness. So for my school, what I found was the PBIS system, because it provides like different kind of rewards to students who have a good behavior and promote, of course, the good behavior in the students who are not maybe there. So the PBIS offers in my school field trips. There is also the PBIS store. It has had some food incentives, public recognitions in town halls where students who have not have referrals during certain quarters, during the 4 quarters, they are recognized as well. They have certificates, or so some teachers do it, for example, per quarter. And some spotlights, for example, when a student has had good behavior during any quarter and has not have any referrals during the morning announcements or the afternoon announcement, they are recognized in public. Another strength is the magnet programs. They has just been during the last 2 years. WPRA has had these programs. Actually, the Richland One School District has had these magnet programs in all Richland One. And this is a school, as a Title I student, was selected as one of the schools that was a beneficiary from one of these programs. So this BLAST program especially has hands-on project leads the way course, including design and modeling, connects students with the industry experts, and it has field trips and events. So as you can see in the pictures, the students have had the chance to get in touch with experts. For example, when they start working with drones, or the people who actually want to go to want to be pilots, want to be aviators. And these magnet programs and BLAST programs are actually included during the related art classes. So basically, students are enrolled like at the same time, like drama or technology. My class is Spanish. They have the time, of course, so they can enroll in these BLAST programs, and the students are very motivated to get into those classes. Additionally, one of the other strengths that I could see from these programs was the AVID strategies, because students can learn and study skills, can learn note-taking strategies, time management techniques, writing and research skills, and learn about colleges and universities. So WPR is also it's certified as an AVID school. Most of the teachers, not all of them, are certified in AVID, but most of them. So for example, they have this white course program where they actually teach students how to can create notes, note taking. They have certain, like in most classes, not all the classes, but we have like a model where the student has, for example, like the summary part, the note taking, some notes, like it's some important parts for what the lesson that they're taking. They are very organized. They have like a folder, and that's the way that the teachers teach students how to use those kind of materials. They also have this kind of field trips and this kind of events, and for example, about careers in colleges. WPR is like in a sector, is like in a cluster of like one high school and some elementary schools, but there are also some universities, local universities, or what they call like HBC, like historically Black universities. And some of them, they come to the school, or like people to talk about those colleges and careers and universities, or the avid students go to those colleges and universities to visit them. So it's a really good opportunity, so students can just know and see how college and universities life is and are. So this was the strengths that I could find about these programs out there.
The strengths at Shady Brook was that we spent time building expectation matrix They were newly updated from team input and put into multiple languages to reach all families. We also, this past year, updated our matrix for major and minor behaviors, and they were also put in multiple languages, so all families had access to them. During this time, when we were rebuilding these matrices, there was a lot of teacher input from all, there was an opportunity for input from all of the staff at Shady Brook to help build these. So we had equity for all, family and community engagement. We had family nights within our local community to try to bring families back into our school. We just had turnover of our school administration. So we were trying to find ways to connect with families, and this was a great way to get out within the community to do that. Monthly updates during staff meetings was from several of our teaming structures. So our core behavior, our MTSS leadership team, our SIT, our core academic team gave monthly updates, which helped with barriers in the past for communication for all staff. Junior Gens was a positive at our school, offering role models for students who need this type of support. It was led by a community leader, and he's done it for several years in a row. And it has really helped to build a sense of belonging within our students at Shady Brook who need those type of supports. For example, on Teacher Appreciation Week, the leader of the Junior Gens would bring students around, and they would help pass out donuts, or just finding different ways to have them support and lead within our school has been a positive this year. For our core academic team, in the beginning of the year, we reviewed all school data and developed next steps for other teaming structures to address concerns with different subgroups within the school. For academics, our supports went heavily to fourth grade due to deficits in academics. So the core academic team met as a PLC weekly to help support that grade level with their deficits, especially in reading. That team also helped to build capacity within teachers to support others within the school as well.
So for strengths for Third Creek Elementary, one of our strengths is their leader in me and equity focus. So we are encouraging inclusive leadership for all students, teaching the different habits that promote respect across cultures, working on embedding culturally responsive values in daily school life, honoring student voice and personal growth, and building family-school partnerships across diverse communities. We have a school-wide behavior incentive program where students are chosen for each class for the habit of the month. We do a monthly dojo store. All grade levels are required a minimum of 2 field trips per year for them to be involved in. All teachers are required to send a positive postcard home for one student a week. So every week we need to pick somebody different and send home these postcards. We do quarterly award ceremonies and quarterly behavior awards. A last one was like a glow in the dark party, and they loved that for the behavior award. And then at the end of the year, we have a water day for participation that students can earn in order to help bring in the behaviors. Trauma-informed and restorative support is basically considers the effect of the chronic stress, violence, abuse, and neglect, or instability on students' development and behavior. And our school does face a lot of violence and stress and abuse. So we were trying to really focus on doing some kind of emotional regulation skills for all students. So that's our tier 1 lessons that we use for second step. Well, and then we has just started offering small group counseling to students experiencing grief or anxiety or family instability. And so that was our tier 2 step. And this year we've actually extended the amount of small groups. It started off small, but we're getting larger. And then we're providing individualized trauma therapy for students exposed to violence for our tier 3. And so we have brought in an outside counselor that comes into our school is trained for such therapy. And basically they are approved based on their need. So there's a specific amount of spots that are given, and with a grant, we had gotten a therapist who actually works with students in this kind of behavior. And so that became our tier 3 for our, for our behaviors.
So now we're going to talk about the opportunities for improvement at the different schools that we are talking about. So of course, as you can see, we could see some of the strengths that our school have. And we don't like to call them like these ones like weaknesses, but just things that we can do better so we can improve certain things in our schools. In my school, what I could analyze, it was that the restorative circles, the school could plan some demonstrations of how restorative circles work during a town hall meeting or during a regular school class. So the school promotes daily, weekly, monthly restorative circles to avoid misbehavior in students. But most of them, they don't know how it works. So for example, when they always say, like, let's go to report and don't respond. They always say that. And let's go, if you need a restorative circle, just address your teacher or email your counselor or administrator, but they don't know how it works. So definitely demonstrations, teaching by example, that would be a great idea in order to implement about this program. The PBIs could reward small groups of students in front of these students during the town hall meetings to motivate students to behave well and to avoid school referrals. Of course, the PBIS it's a great system that works at my school. However, demonstrations, of course, of giving rewards to students who have a good behavior in the school could be a good idea, so they can improve this certain things this specific item in this program. The BLAST, hire additional BLAST teachers and experts so a bigger number of students can take advantage of these classes where students aspire to careers in aerospace and STEM. So this is a great program, but there are only like 2 teachers, 1 teacher actually, and 1 expert that teach this class that have these groups. So the classes are just have a low number of students because of the number of teachers. So if actually the school could hire more experts or teachers who can provide like a bigger, more like a number of classrooms like for these students, they will be more motivated to go so they could be there. Right now, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders are taking this BLAST aerospace, science, and math classes. However, the classes are very small, like I was saying, and they are semester classes. They rotate, that's a good thing, but still having more experts and more teachers will be a very good benefit for the school. Finally, for the AVID, provide AVID professional development opportunities to the majority of school teachers so they can implement AVID strategies with their students. So as I was saying at the beginning, AVID is a great program in the school. However, there are just a few teachers, some teachers who are AVID, who are being trained with AVID strategies. So it would be great if the school can provide these opportunities to the teachers so they can assist to these professional development opportunities where they teach AVID strategies so they could implement them later with the students.
At Shady Brook Elementary, some opportunities for improvement within our core behavior. It would be to strengthen our tier 1 and tier 2 interventions, especially with our social emotional behavior. In addition, tracking discipline referrals and behavior trends within this committee. There was a lot of establishing this committee this past year. So they did not spend as much time looking for data trends and areas of opportunity that we could improve as a school. Support teachers with behavior challenges using the restorative practices. Several of our teachers have been trained in this, but not over 50% of them. Currently, this past week, our district did have train the trainer sessions so that that can be brought back to the school, and we can do that during early release days or other appropriate areas that we can build into our master schedule for the school. And then communicate individual behavior goals with families in multiple languages. So going back to our matrices, making sure that we have them translated for families to have access to them. For our core academic team, continue to review data across the school to share it with appropriate teaming structures, and to create school-wide intervention plans so all students have equitable access to learning, and then teachers can apply equity-based teaching strategies for those students. Continue PD on rigor within the classrooms as directed by DPI visits. So we have spent this last year starting to look at learning targets, and towards the end of the year, the team did mini PD sessions within staff meetings, and our focus towards the end was looking at rigor and defining it as a school, and we'll have more PD opportunities with that in the following school year. And then continuing PD on the walkthrough tool. We were doing that also during staff meetings to help teachers better understand the new walkthrough tool that we have. And also to, we were also looking at strategies that could be effective for the different elements of the walkthrough tool that teachers could implement within their classroom to support growth in that area. For restorative practices, I briefly just mentioned continued training staff, possibly having chunked PD sessions once a month during PLC to support this work. And then for tier 1 and tier 2 groups, focusing on implementing learned strategies from restorative practices. At the end of the year, when we did our MTSS, our FAMS, our facilitated assessment, one of the areas of opportunity was looking at our tier 1 and tier 2 social emotional learning. And for family and community engagement, to continue to build relationships with families within the community through new partnerships that we had created this year to continue them. Engagement opportunities for academics. We talked about one of our grade levels have decided to do choice boards for homework. So it's an opportunity to provide like access for all students. So students get to choose specific things on the choice board. And one of the examples was like, go take a walk with your family member and tell them about your day, or basic math facts practice was another option on there. Also giving unit letters for reading and math to explain to and let families know what's going on within the classrooms. And then cultural projects that promote and celebrate all represented cultures within our school.
So for opportunities for improvement at Third Creek, looking at Leader in Me and Second Step, we would like to host more family nights in multiple languages that show how Leader in Me and Second Step work and how families can reinforce these habits and social emotional learning at home. Offering more professional development that blends the Leader in Me and the Second Step and trauma-informed practices through an equity lens, bringing it more together so that it's working together. And then train staff to recognize implicit biases, cultural communication styles, and the impact of poverty on behavior and emotional regulations. For our school-wide behavior plan, we would like it would be nice to see like including more relational and recognition based incentives that could represent the students' cultures, recognizing students for using social emotional skills like self-regulation, empathy, and conflict resolution rather than just being in compliance, but actually recognizing them and, you know, calling them out right as it's happening. And then training all staff, teacher assistants, cafeteria workers on how to use the incentive systems consistently and equitably. As of right now, we use Class Dojo for system-wide or school-wide behaviors, and we haven't been successful at keeping the incentives consistent and equitable. For a trauma-informed approach, perhaps providing ongoing PD for understanding trauma, toxic stress, and their effects on behavior and learning. Partner with more trauma experts or the district's behavior team to create a year-long embedded PD sessions, not a just one-time training. So we've had like our district's behavior team come in and do a quick training on de-escalation, and then they left, and that was the last we saw of them. So thought more like year long, where we can really learn how to deal with behaviors and how to stop it before it starts. And then host trauma-informed family workshops or family circles where caregivers and staff can learn how to do the strategies together. So what they're doing at home is the same as what they're doing at school and vice versa. And then in our restorative circles and our morning meetings, they're not as consistent as they should be. And so maybe enforcing morning greetings, daily check-ins, and some kind of mentorship program, starting the morning meetings with regulation strategies such as deep breathing, yoga, something like that to kind of start our day off in a nice positive way and calm. Provide more student-led leadership opportunities. At this moment, I don't feel as though we have enough student-led leadership opportunities. So that would be nice for the students to be able to take ownership of the school. And then I'm thinking more visuals to help support our ELL learners and our students with disabilities, so that they can have a visual to see what is expected of them, and so forth.
WA Perry Middle School focuses on providing the resources and support necessary for each student to succeed. Additionally, the school acknowledges the importance of incorporating students' cultural backgrounds, experiences, and perspectives into all aspects of learning. Overall rating of WA Perry Middle on equity and cultural responsiveness 4 stars out of 5.
For Shady Brook Elementary, we've had a lot of restructuring of our systems and practices, and I think that we have a good solid basis with a lot of the programs and opportunities that we have at our school, but we still have a long way to go. So with that being said, we rated a 3 out of 5 stars.
And then for our rating for Third Creek, somehow crawdads became our mascot. I'm not exactly sure who picked that. So I gave it 3 out of 5 crawdads. And because we are working towards including more multicultural, especially as our district's changing, we're seeming to be getting a lot more Hispanic families and culture. So more ongoing staff training in regards to the equity and the cultural responsiveness, in addition to handling behaviors in the classroom. I would let inclusion for all the races. We need to focus on the needs to shift the direction of our Hispanic community, which had an influx in the last couple of years. Making family nights more multicultural and inclusive for all families, regardless of their cultures, and then having all students be a part of TCE and providing different leadership roles, so students can have a sense of belonging. So while we are doing a lot of different things to represent equity and cultural responsiveness, definitely see that there's more room for improvement.
We probably don't have time for this portion, but something that we put down to consider: what long-term changes in your school or district are you making to build equitable systems, not just quick fixes or one-time trainings? Because I know that's been something that we've been trying to talk about and establish within our school. So that would be something to consider. Does anybody want to respond to that?
Colleen, I think first of all, team, you did an amazing job. You covered a lot of stuff in a short amount of time. And I would encourage all of you, I would get a flash drive, something. I would download all these presentations, because honestly, when you become an administrator, this will be a resource library. You can put, I was taking pictures, I was writing down stuff, and I did last week as well, because all of you are bringing so much to the table that you're going to need to know and do as administrators. But this is a good way to leave with everybody thinking about something, Colleen. But again, team, job well done. But all of you do need to think about what Colleen has just challenged you with. But y'all are well on the way to being great administrators. A job well done. Thank you.
May I just piggyback on one thing there?
Sure.
I think it was Lauren that said this, or Colleen. You're trying to take a couple of the programs and see where they overlap and intertwine. And I would just say this to you guys, there are a lot of programs out there, a lot.
Mhm.
And the hallmark of a low performing school is too many programs.
Mhm.
So it's an opportunity when you go into a school to take a strong look at the programs, at the data, to see, what we need to keep, what we need to tweak, what we can merge together. Because the bottom line, it's hard for teachers to keep up with all these different things. And so what happens is, you don't monitor it, you don't gather data, you don't know how effective all these things are. But I know that you all understand about programs and what they are meant to do as far as creating that equitable and inclusive environment. And that was a great presentation, you guys.
It was great
So
job.
we're going to segue into Standard 4. And so we have Nora here, and we have Nora Taylor and Heather Knapp. Now, Heather has a little situation here. She was going to be out of town with her pre-planned time out of town with her daughter and graduation. And she and I talked, and I said, well, just you figure it out. I'm not going to change anybody. You just figure it out. I know Heather, so I feel like I could say that to her. And so she is doing that, but she's not even online with us because they had bought tickets way back when to a Broadway show. So she and Nora have worked together, and Nora is going to start out with a presentation.
Hello, everyone.
Uh,
My name's Heather. I'll be presenting.
Nora's got the PowerPoint, but Heather is coming into the PowerPoint and she's actually recorded, and you can see her talking on the PowerPoint. So, Nora, thank you for running the show here and being willing to do this in Heather's absence.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Nora Taylor, and of course, I'm partnered with Heather. And we are doing the PSEL Standard 4, which is on curriculum, instruction, and assessment. All right, and I'm going to click her recording.
PSEL Standard
Nora,
4.
I think you need to, Nora, can you
Yes.
start the slideshow?
Yes.
We
Okay.
can't, yeah. We're on, I can't tell what slide we're on, but you'll have to share and start that slideshow.
Okay, maybe I should do it like this. My desktop. Okay.
It says you started, okay. All right, there you go.
Okay. Let's see. All right, for some reason, I am not on the first slide, so I don't know
That's
if it's
okay,
like
take your
black.
time.
Okay. let me just refresh. Okay. All right, can we see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Heather Knapp. I will be presenting PSEL Standard 4 with Nora. I'm having to present this way because I'm currently sitting in a seat in a Broadway theater in New York City. I had tickets purchased back in March for my daughter's 18th and graduation present. She just graduated from high school. And after talking with Dr. Revis, it was better that we just plan for me to be involved in this presentation this way instead of rearranging everyone's schedule because the course is so tight in terms of time and dates. So Standard 4 is all about curriculum instruction and assessment. And in order to be an effective leader in this standard, leaders should develop and support intellectually rigorous and coherent systems of curriculum instruction and assessment to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Basically, what that means is that we focus on what students learn, how they learn it, and how do we know they're proficient, and then what do we do if they're not proficient. So in order to demonstrate proficiency in this standard, we implement coherent systems of instruction, curriculum, and assessment that promote not only high expectations for all students that align with academic standards and culturally responsive to students, but it also helps promote the mission, vision, and core values of the school. We align and focus systems of curriculum instruction and assessment within and across grade levels. So there's evidence of vertical alignment as well to promote student academic success. Love of learning. I don't know about everybody else, but right now, especially in middle school, the apathy is real. So, finding a way to get kids to enjoy learning again. And then also focusing on the identities and habits of learners and the healthy sense of whole self. Effective leaders promote instructional practice that's consistent with childhood development, current teaching practices, effective pedagogy, and the needs of each individual student. Effective leaders also ensure that instructional practices are rigorous. They are authentic to students, within the school and their experiences. Effective leaders recognize students' strengths as well as differentiate instruction based on their personalities and their needs. Effective leaders promote the effective use of technology. They employ valid assessments that are also in line with childhood development, and they measure what they're intended to measure. And then those assessments, that data is used appropriately to monitor student progress and improve academic success.
All right, so we're going to take a look at what does this standard measure and why it is important. So Standard 4 measures the understanding of a leader's development and implementation of curriculum, instruction, and assessment within the school. It is also designed to effectively promote student growth by understanding what they are learning, how they are learning it, and how they will be assessed to measure the progress of learning. So Standard 4 truly matters because as a leader, it's highly important to comprehend the curriculum being implemented inside of the school and how it's used by teachers within the school, and to see how teachers are driving the instruction using the curriculum, and to successfully measure how students are being assessed and growing academically.
At Flat Rock Middle School, located in Henderson County Public Schools, where we have an instructional team that includes an assistant superintendent for instructional services, and then also a director of middle schools. We also are provided an instructional coach. My coach is split between two schools, but her job is to provide coherence and support for schools across the county. So what my school is teaching, it should look a lot like what Rugby Middle School and Hendersonville Middle School in Henderson County also look like. The lessons themselves may not look the same, but the structure and the flow of the curriculum would mirror each other. They also support our admin teams and teachers in helping refine curriculum, as well as the instructional delivery. They also make sure that our professional development is relevant to us as teachers. So the needs of my school is very different than the needs of another school. So it's basically a teacher teaching teachers. Teachers are the students and she is the teacher. So it's, making my teaching experience and my teaching practice personalized for my students. Flat Rock Middle School offers the standard course of study for North Carolina. We serve grades 6 through 8. So we have our core content classes, and then to help address the needs of the whole child, our exploratory offerings include band, art, dance, and chorus for 8th grade. Dance and chorus are just for 8th grade. Then we have orchestra, PE, STEM robotics, and CTE classes as well. We also offer accelerated courses for our 8th graders. We have Math 1, Honors English 1, and Spanish 1. All 3 of those courses, if they pass them, they get high school credit for those. Across all grade levels, we also offer advanced classes in science and English and math. So they're not necessarily honors, but they are a little more accelerated in terms of rigor. We also offer intervention classes during exploratory times. We have advanced reading, which is really a way to support struggling readers to help advance their reading proficiency. We have a high rate of Spanish speakers in our building, so we also offer during exploratory time an ESL class. And then our MTSS helps to drive those intervention classes as well, our progress monitoring and such. In terms of assessments, we offer multifaceted ways to, engage learners as well as see what it is that they're learning. Our PLCs are used once a week for at least 30 minutes to discuss data and trends based on common formative assessments. And those are actually planned, from teachers across the county. So the common formative assessment I give at Flat Rock Middle School will be the same that I give at Rugby Middle School. But then within those, we also provide other formative type assessments to drive our instruction. We experienced a lot of growth on the EOGs last year, but we are still underperforming. So the county has us using iReady for both math and reading. And so there's a diagnostic for that in the fall, mid-year, and then again in the spring. And that data specifically is used to help drive our small group and intervention or enrichment groups, which is during our homeroom time. If students don't need intervention, they get put into some type of enrichment class. So we actually have some kids who have tested out of iReady. And so we had to find a way to keep them engaged during that time. So our AIG teacher during that time actually pulls kids and he can offer debate classes. For our 8th graders, he offers AP prep classes. But essentially, we are very data driven in terms of looking at the data and seeing how that drives our instruction.
All right. All right. So I am currently at Eastside Elementary, located in Clinton, South Carolina, which is a part of the Lawrence School District 56. And so let's take a look at what it looks like inside of Eastside Elementary. So as far as curriculum, as it relates to the district level, Lawrence County School District 56 ensures that all instruction implemented within each school strategically aligns with the South Carolina State Standards. The district instructional team consists of the assistant superintendent of instruction, the district literacy specialist, and the directors of elementary, middle, and secondary education. Housed in each school is an instructional reading and math coach, and each person on the team helps assist the school leaders in making sure the curriculum, instructional, and assessment needs are met for all students. Moving to instruction, Eastside Elementary School, the courses align with the South Carolina kindergarten through 6th state standards. Courses include core content courses in addition to a variety of extracurricular courses such as PE, chorus, art, STEM. We also identify the gifted and talented students, allowing them to have the gifted and talented classes. ESOL and reading intervention pullouts are used. And then we use MTSS as a method to drive instruction and support the enrichment and intervention that the students use. Following along to assessment, teachers in the building use a variety of methods for assessments. There are multiple types of formative and summative assessments, such as checkoffs, tests, and quizzes that teachers use. They have map testing 3 times a year. They do running records and benchmarks for reading. Teachers are expected to meet weekly in PLCs to discuss collected data. And then assessments help drive the whole and small group instruction, pacing, and tackling the intervention support for the students.
School are that we are very standards aligned. And we have our learning targets posted daily on the boards so students know what it is we're going to learn today, as well as our agendas, like what is it we're going to learn. This was a school improvement action step this year to help our students grow academically. It's one of the first times I've ever been a part of a school where I've seen an action step actually met 100% validity. So it was fun to celebrate that. Another strength is we are very data driven. Like I said, our PLCs meet at least once a week for 30 minutes. But if you ever walk down a hallway on a team of teachers, you'll see groups of teachers collaborating all the time. And it's not just, glorified planning time. It's teachers talking about how do we get our kids to understand the standard and to become more proficient, especially in reading and math. So we're analyzing and adjusting our practices accordingly. Our MTSS system is established and it is regularly monitored. Our intervention time is intentional, either during our homeroom, or we also call it equal acceleration, or in small group settings during a regular class time. And then we also intentionally support our diverse and multilingual learners through scaffolds, inclusive teaching strategies. We have quite a few teachers who have been to GLAD training, which is an immersive language practice and teaching strategies to teach whole group, but help support those language learners as well.
I'm sorry, excuse me. At Eastside Elementary, we're going to take a look at some of the school's strengths. We have consistent analyzation of data through collaborative PLC meetings. Teachers use collected data to drive whole and small group instruction. We have a PBIS system in place with opportunities for students to earn incentives such as star cards, Eagle books, treats, prizes, parties, book vending machine, which there's a picture down here. The instruction is aligned with the South Carolina State Standards with clear learning goals and targets. There are personalized hallway names to build navigation and enhance sense of belonging within the school for students. They have clubs in action. Each teacher that's in the building sponsors a club for students to participate in during the day. They have the leader in me to help shape and mold students. The school is very organized as far as school setting with a positive learning environment promoted. And then they also have the school-wide WIG, which stands for Widely Important Goal.
How we're going to address them. So our school improvement plan goal, one of them is that all subgroups will grow on standardized tests. And while we are growing, we are still having some subgroups that are really still lagging behind. And I believe it's due to a couple of things. First of all is our discipline, not necessarily student behavior, which is part of discipline, but the fact that we don't have butts in seats in the classroom. So this is just this year, and this is good for us. This is actually reduced quite a bit from last year and even the year before that. We lost quite a few days of school this year because of disciplinary issues. So when we look at this, the ISS, that does not go against our attendance data, which we'll look at in just a minute as well. So we don't take attendance by class period at my school. We do it just for the day. So these students in ISS are still counted present, even though they're not in the classroom. But this is still a lot of instructional time. Probably with the students who need it the most, they're the ones that are missing it, which is probably why this subgroup is lacking. To address that, next year, we're actually going to begin implementing Leader in Me. We're doing a very, very slow rollout to address the adults in our building first, in the hopes that we change our mindsets on certain demographics of students and try to keep them in the classroom instead of just sending them out all the time. But it will also help to strengthen the whole child and address their needs as well, because we all know that they need it, right? Like, it's just habits of good learning, and in order for them to be successful in life, they need to have these habits anyway. So in terms of attendance, it is also not looking good. our average days present has reduced. If you're not in school, you can't be learning. So we've got to get this 89% back up. This is another brand new school improvement plan goal. I actually sat on school improvement just yesterday, and we have created a school improvement plan goal to increase our average days present from 89% to 93% by the end of the school year next year. And then just our chronically absent students, we didn't have data on this yet, but I would imagine that's going to go up as well. If this went down, that's going to go up. So again, like I said, to address this, this is now a school improvement plan goal. In July, we're going to meet with a subgroup to create action steps for that. But some of the conversations yesterday were, attendance challenges, rewards for students, targeting those students before they get to 5, 6, 7, 8 absences in the school year. And then lastly, an opportunity for growth that has started to get some talking about for INSIT is our grading practices at Flat Rock. We are very inconsistent in terms of what you see in the grade book by teacher. We have some teachers who grade participation, some who don't. We have some who use standards-based grading, some who don't. The types of assignments that are graded vary from classroom to classroom. So creating some type of consistency. And then also, when we look at grading practices, the whole purpose of a grade is to see if they're proficient on a task. And if we have a high number of students on honor roll, you would think that our EOG proficiency would be higher than it is. So we need to find a way to make it make sense. And so just some conversations that I've heard rumblings of is looking at all teachers going standards-based, not going standards-based. Several years ago, right after COVID, we had the 50s for 0 policy. Do we go back to that? Do we not go back to that? So again, finding a way to find consistency in grading, and a subcommittee is going to be created to dive deeper into this as well. Probably not next year because Leader in Me is a big rock, but it is on our minds as something that we need to do.
All right.
Which is
growth opportunities and how they will be addressed at Eastside Elementary. Teachers will be provided with professional development opportunities to enhance skills and knowledge on delivering high quality instruction. With the right tools, strategies, and resources, all students will soar and grow academically. The school-wide goal was for 80% of students to conquer their math MAP goal in the spring. Although 80% of students did not meet this goal, 40% of students scored an advanced score on their math MAP testing this spring. Therefore, students will be provided with tailored instruction and support to meet their educational goals, which will contribute to the school's growth and meeting the school-wide WIG. And we will continue to do MTSS and intervention support for all students.
Of rating this standard for Flat Rock Middle School. I rated us based on how I would be rated as an administrator or teacher instead of a scale. So for the rating for Flat Rock Middle School and Standard 4, I gave us proficient, even though our EOG scores don't really show that, because we are doing the work. Like, our Standard 4 is lived out at Flat Rock. We have aligned curriculum, we have intentional instruction, we have responsive assessment practices. We are aligned with our mission and vision statement by building a system where every student can grow, succeed, and find joy in learning. We implement coherent curriculum, instruction, and assessments that promote that mission, which is to leave a legacy of positive contribution. This is going to be further strengthened with our Leader in Me implementation. Our curriculum, instruction, assessments are aligned within and across grade levels to promote student academic success, love of learning, and the identities and habits of learners, and the healthy sense of self. We do promote instructional practices that are consistent with child learning and development. We ensure instructional practice is intellectually challenging, authentic, recognizes strengths, and is differentiated. We promote technology use. We employ valid assessments. Excuse me. We use that data appropriately to monitor. Okay. All artifacts that support my rating of proficiency. These are all links that you can click on, but while I'm recording, it won't let me click on it. But if you have access to this presentation, you can click on it yourself and you can go in and look at everything that I'm getting ready to talk about. So one of the first things in terms of our instruction practices is, I mentioned earlier, our promise standards. So this is just 6th grade. And you'll see these are our promise standards and what each subject in 6th grade believes that their students should be able or needs to learn and be successful at in order for them to move on to the next grade level. And you'll see that the promise standards, you click on that eventually and it pulls up the promise standards, and then they link their CFA data there. And then that's where they're able to have data chats and talks, and our instructional coach can go in and look at it. And I'm not sure why 6th grade math isn't there, because they are phenomenal at what they do. They must keep their data somewhere else. But this is really, really helpful in terms when I go and I look at my 7th graders, I can go in and look at their data on their common formed assessments when they're coming to me from 8th grade. So this is our instruction hub, is what we call it. So you'll see there's sections for each, our instruction, and these promise standards were linked there. I just wanted to show these to you separately because I think it's just really something unique that we do at Flat Rock. Maybe not, but I think it's fabulous. Our PLC information is there as well. MTSS, the steps to get a student on MTSS and how we progress monitor them. AIG supports, there's our ready intervention stuff, and then support for our multilingual learners. And then you'll also see under instruction this GLAD video vault. Even if you are not trained in GLAD, we have, strategies there for you to use in the classroom as well. High yield strategies we have linked as well. That is actually going to be a PLC or a professional development focus for us next year. Once we met the action step for, the providing rigorous instruction for our students and having our learn targets on the wall. If you're involved in school improvement at all, you know that it doesn't stop there. You then move on to something else. So our instructional coach sent out a survey and asked us what we thought we needed as teachers, and high yield strategies, professional development, and using those was something that we identified as a need. Eventually, Literate and Me will come up here as well. And then lastly, one of the things that I am super proud of myself, because I'm the facilitator of our SIT, and before coming on and even joining our SIT team at Flat Rock, SIT was not serving its purpose. It was more of a gripe session. It wasn't focused. So this past school year, I worked really hard at getting us to focus on what SIT is supposed to be, which is basically what PSEL 4 is. It's what do we want our students to know? How are we going to get them to know it? What do we do if they do get it? And then what do we do if they don't get it? So we really worked hard at becoming cohesive in that and making sure that that was our focus, and all other issues in terms of things going on within our school stayed out. Now, of course, climate and culture is part of that as well, but there's certain things that just don't belong at SIT. Like, it's all about academics and student success. So that's Flat Rock in a nutshell. I'll now turn it off over to Nora.
All right, so overall, based off the PSEL Standard 4, the rating that Eastside Elementary received was a 4 out of 5. The artifacts that support the rating would be the professional development opportunities, the MTSS and intervention support, weekly PLC and data analyzation meetings, instruction properly tailored and aligned with the South Carolina State Standards, and then measurable goal setting. Eastside Elementary has developed an exceptional vision and mission for students and staff. The leaders and teachers in the building are held to a standard to make sure high-quality curriculum, instruction, and assessments are delivered for the overall academic success of the students. The area of improvement is for the school to meet their school-wide WIG, which they are aiming to accomplish, which also reflects why they received a 4 out of a 5. All right, and that concludes our presentation.
Thank you, Nora, and thank you for working with Heather to put that together. Any questions?
I think they handled that situation beautifully, though, Dr. Revis. It flowed so beautifully.
Yes.
I mean, it was like she was there, and Nora, you facilitated that so well. So Great job. I learned a lot from this presentation as well.
Any questions? All right, again, thank you, Nora. All right, Dr. Stedman, turn it back to you.
Just one thing, just remind students, let me pull the agenda back up. Just remind students next week, PSEL Standard 5, Joseph, Casey, and Salvia from my class, and PSEL Standard 6 from Dr. Revis's group, Diane, Hannah, and Michael. So any questions from that group, those two groups about next week? Dr. Revis, I think all teams, I think they really are, they have risen to the occasion. And I just think they're doing a great job with these presentations. And you didn't have you had a short time to begin working with all of this, but I just see the potential for great administration, great leaders, Dr. Revis.
I do too. And some of the things that I am enjoying hearing about is a lot of the things, I think particularly with this one on curriculum and instruction, heard a lot of terminology and vocabulary that we used back in the APSEL in 601. Those high yield strategies for Monsanto and formative assessments. I mean, just a lot of the things that we talked about in class and that you put into your action plan. I'm seeing some of that in these presentations. So that's really good to see.
Just remember what we taught you in the APTEL. Remember, many of you are still in the classroom and you're teachers of students, but you're going into administration or whatever your role is beyond that classroom. You're a teacher of teachers. You become a teacher and a leader of teachers. And teachers, if you do a good job with teaching and leading your teachers, then that gives them everything that they need to teach your students and to produce the student success, which is our ultimate goal in everything that we do in education. Okay. Job well done, all of you. Okay, Dr. Revis, that's me. I don't have anything else. Does anybody in closing have any questions at all about expectations for the week? You know what's due Sunday, you know what's due by next week. And again, I think you've got the hang of it. Many of you are working ahead, and working ahead, work smart. Don't haste makes waste, as they say. So don't be careless in getting ahead. Make sure that you are monitoring what you're doing and that it's the quality that you deserve, that we need to see from you. Okay. Well, Dr. Revis, I think that's it.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.